Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Pole Vault Project. We're here today with Mark Hollis. Just to give you a few of his career highlights, and Mark, correct me if I get these wrong, 2010 Outdoor National Champion, 2011 Indoor National Champion, 2011 World Team Member, 2013 Indoor National Champion, 2014 runner-up at Outdoor Nationals, and 2015 Pan Am's bronze medalist.
Sounds right.
Awesome. So Mark is here to tell us how to be an athlete and how to be a pole vaulter. So I guess to start out, in terms of training, if you could go back to high school and kind of start your training over again, what advice would you give to yourself or to anyone who's currently in high school as a young athlete just getting started?
I think for me in high school, I was kind of the smaller guy, and I was always, I was intimidated by just bigger guys, by the football players that were always in the weight room, or even the sprinters on the team or people like that had been around and maybe had gone through kind of a weight training program in high school and things like that. And so it was just a lot easier for me to go into the weight room for about 5 to 10 minutes and make my appearance known and then get out of there than it was for me to really be curious and stick around. And I can tell you that that was the difference when I went to college and really kind of got in there. Then I couldn't get away with it. I couldn't just stick my head in and leave. All the coaches knew me, and I was I was required to be in the weight room and put in the work, and that was really when I saw all the improvements that came about because of the work that I was doing. So I think, just start anywhere. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you're just trying, I think in junior high school, you're just trying to gain athleticism. So anything you can do, like with free weights, whether it's dumbbells, even just holding the weights, like you're going to be teaching your body balance, and you're building those little muscle fibers that are kind of holding everything together and that are gonna, end up building together to give you the power and strength and speed. So I think just starting anywhere, and that, really, even in college, I started with workouts out of like a Men's Health workout book, and so it wasn't, anything scientific or perfect, but I was in the weight room and I was putting in work and I was building the framework for then what I'm able to do now. And I think that's, we get caught up with wanting to do so much perfectly and having the right system or the right workout plan and things like that. And the truth is, you really just need to go in and just be in there and put in time. And, I can rattle off exercises that are great to do. Such as, lunges are great, step ups, squats, deadlifts, pull ups. I think, it's funny. It just at that, if I could tell myself one thing, it'd just be, just get in there, just work out. Like, I don't care if you're going to build a six pack or do curls, to show off on the beach. But, at that age, anything helps. And like I said, you're just kind of building that framework for the rest of your body, because you can't expect yourself to be able to take on loads, like heavy squat or things like that we see, these advanced athletes doing before you're able to simply pick up a weight and keep your balance, or bend over forward, and that just happens through time of just doing it and repetition, where you're teaching your body those little things.
Awesome. I think you raised a couple really, really cool points there. I think the first one that I wanted to kind of reiterate for people is that to be a pole vaulter, you have to be an athlete first. I think people get really, really caught up in the technique, which is of course important and something you need to address, but you know, you have to be an athlete first, and being, you know, bigger, being faster, being stronger is always going to make you a better pole vaulter. I think that's a really important point that you raised. I see this a lot, you know, all over the places. People just want to jump and jump and jump and jump all the time, and they're not really addressing that other piece of being a better athlete. And when they do, like you were saying, that's when you really start to see progress.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was never good enough to be a one athlete kind of guy. You know, like I said, I was really small. When I got my driver's license at 16, I was 5'4", 104 pounds. So you can imagine that. You know, it really wasn't built for the football field or the basketball team. But I played soccer all 4 years of high school and really just loved that. You know, that built up endurance and, you know, fast switching from kind of slow to fast twitch muscles, and hand-eye coordination. I mean, all this stuff that you're just kind of doing for fun or because you love the sport. But exactly, you know, I think the best athletes in the world are decathletes and pole vaulters, and that's, you can see by the training that we do, it's so multifaceted. So yeah, that's number one. I think just being an athlete, learning how to use your body. You know, I think another thing, you know, I would have loved to have done is just any kind of gymnastics work. I kind of grew up in doing some tumbling and doing some YMCA gymnastics and things like that, or doing cartwheels in the living room, or, you know, flipping, doing somersaults, things like that. That I think is in a lot of our DNA as pole vaulters. But just that body awareness and strength that you gain from any type of gymnastics, competitive or not. I also did, you know, I dove for a season in high school, and that same kind of deal. But all the things that I think have played into the success that I've had and made me the athlete that I am. Yep.
Awesome. And then I think the other thing that you touched on that I wanted to kind of reiterate again is that, like, the mindset component, that, like you were saying in high school, that you like would poke your head into the weight room, you would do a little bit, you know, bounce in and out, and then when you got to college, you couldn't really get away with that. Like, the coaches were there, everyone was watching you, and you also started to like see the benefits of, like, oh, if I really take this seriously, then I will be a better pole vaulter.
Right.
And I think that's another really important point, is like, just being in the weight room, just showing up to practice, just doing your sprints, just to say that you did them isn't really enough. Like, you have to really focus on what you're doing, understand why you're doing it, and go into it with that attitude of, this is going to make me a better athlete and a better pole vaulter.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I tell people, like, no one's born as a great pole vaulter. I mean, it's not something you're doing in the backyard, unless you have a club in your backyard or something like that. But for most of us, you know, it's a very just awkward kind of event and a movement that has to be learned. And I think that, you know, that's the other thing that kind of really made me successful, is just being a student of the sport and a student of athletics. You know, just really kind of by the time I finally did take ownership for my success and my failure, which was once I got to college, you know, it was then that I'm asking questions about sprint mechanics, and, you know, watching video and asking questions to coaches about, you know, pole vault technique or things like that. And I remember just the one thing that I got the most out of was just watching athletes that were better than myself, and simply watching them warm up, watching them do their straight pole drills and their, you know, warming up for the meet, and then, you know, what they were doing on the pole or on the runway that was allowing them to be successful. And I think that's one thing, you know, I wish I'd done a little earlier, was simply just taking a little responsibility for my success and failure, and not just kind of gone out and winged it, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that, you know, and now with all the resources that are available, I mean, you know, videos like this that are just wild, you know, so many on YouTube, as far as also websites and you know, being able to get a hold of coaches and athletes on Facebook and things like that, and the accessibility is just there, and it just is up to you as the athlete to kind of take ownership and reach out, because we all, you know, want to help. So if you have any questions, we're here. So
Awesome. So the next thing I kind of wanted to ask about is you know, we touched a little bit on the mental piece of kind of how to approach your training, but you know, you've jumped in some really big meets. What advice would you have for people on how to mentally approach competition, and, you know, maybe especially big competitions like that?
You know, one thing that I dabbled in college and has become part of my weekly preparation now is simply mental preparation and imagery, as far as it goes for competition or practice. You know, I recognized the importance of it in college, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I remember I'd go to the meet, you know, the day ahead of time and take pictures of maybe the pit or the setup, and then I'd go back to my hotel room, and I'd kind of look at those and try to imagine myself, you know, vaulting in those places. And I think that is important, because I didn't know what I was doing, but it's just like any other skill. The mental game is something you have to feed, you have to train, and so you'll be better and better at it. You know, now it's a weekly thing for me, and so I can take repetitions that to my mind are the same as if I'm on the runway. And so the way I would do that is to, if you can, get a picture or a video of the competition site you're going to be at, or, you know, even now I'll go and Google or YouTube, you know, a meet at the place I'm going to jump, and I can just about find anywhere, or videos of guys jumping, and so I kind of know what to think about, and just take, you know, 10 or 15 minutes and really just set yourself up. So feeling the pole in your hand, trying to smell the grass in the air. I mean, hear the voices of the officials or the starting gun. You know, just make it as real as possible, and just see yourself on the runway in that place. And even if you've never been there before, you know, just those simple mental reps of doing that is gonna allow your mind to kind of settle down and just to settle in when you do get there in person. And so just take yourself through some positive repetitions of the vault. And you know, what's nice about that is you can kind of do forward and reverse, and until you can kind of get it right and get that feel. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect at first, but I think that's just something that's really helped me, just to kind of almost feel like I've been there before, no matter the competition, no matter the arena or how many fans are there. You know, if I can just kind of mentally prepare myself, then when I step on the track, it's not so much of a shell shock, you know. And you know, I know a lot of people say it's just like treat it like any other meet. Well, that's nice to say, but you know, when you get in those big situations, the way I kind of think about it is I know that my energy state my optimal energy state is about a 7. And so I know that in a bigger meet, I'm going to get to 7 a lot faster than I would at a smaller meet. And so at a bigger meet, I almost have to settle down more. So I'm not listening to my pump up music, you know, before I'm going to the track. I'm kind of just chilling out, trying to just be in a good energy state. Because I know that when I get there, that the bigness of the meet, or you know, what you're doing is gonna bump that energy state up. Whereas, you know, if you're doing a little dual meet or something like that, where it's cold and, you know, you're jumping with 4 other guys or something like that, and you know, then you might need to get the energy going a little bit sooner, so you're, you know, getting yourself up to a 4 or 5 before the meet starts, because then you can get that up too. So I think that's, you know, just kind of going into each competition with a little bit different mindset of what to expect, how to prepare for it, and just having a plan, so you're not just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, you know, deer in headlights kind of thing. So I think that, yeah, that's my 2 cents about that anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really cool tip for people. I feel like I've kind of seen that thing you're talking about of like trying to calm yourself down when I like go on YouTube and look up video of like, you know, world championships or something. It seems like it's only like world record holders and gold medalists that they show their face when they're on the back of the runway. But if you watch any of those, like, you know, like Lavinia, or I think there's some footage of Tim Mack like on the back of the runway before some of his jumps, and he's not like super psyched up, he's just like really calm and like breathing, and then they start running.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, and it's certain, like I said, it's just kind of time to time, like, or meet to meet, and I'm usually try to be a lot calmer on the runway, but there's times where I'm like, you know, slapping myself and and, you know, giving out a yell beforehand, just to kind of get it going, where the energy is just not quite there. But I think that's something we've learned, is that to be just a lot more even and just a lot more consistent with that energy as the meet goes on is going to set us up for success. You know, you don't want to be kind of like a roller coaster through the meet, starting, you know, at a 9 or 10, and then you make a height and, you know, it drops down and you're kind of riding that adrenaline. And I think that's something that comes with experience, but just simply finding what's comfortable, you know, kind of finding that comfort zone and trusting it, you know, trusting that I don't need to be super, you know, hyped up to get on this pole or that kind of thing. Just kind of trusting your abilities and that stuff.
Awesome. Another thing that I know, this is, I think probably for me, been the biggest thing since getting out of college, is like my recovery between workouts is something that I take super seriously now. What do you do to recover between workouts? And, you know, like, I'm sure you work out at least once a day, if not more than once a day. How do you handle all that volume?
Yeah, so right now, between indoor and outdoor season, we have about 2 practices a day, and, you know, it's all about kind of prepping your body to be prepared for the next one. And so it's more about kind of the mindset of how can I get back as close to 100% as I can. And so for me, that's getting nutrition. So refueling carbohydrate stores and protein as soon as your workout's over. I know a lot of supplements, especially protein, are low in sugar, low in carbs, but you know, try to follow that with a banana or an apple or just something, you know, sandwich, anything like that, to keep those energy stores up, and even if you don't work out twice a day, you know, adding refueling those carb stores or it seems to be something that people just don't know about, or but that's kind of the hidden gem, I guess, of the recovery process. Sleep is really important, of course. You know, I'm trying to get about 10 hours or so a night. And I mean, I'm able to do that. But, you know, I know in college it wasn't as easy. But now I can say, yeah, you know, sleep is very important. Hydration, things like that. So.
Awesome. And you mentioned nutrition. I totally agree with you. I think that the post-workout carbs are super duper important. I've started putting a scoop of dextrose in my post-workout shake, and it's such a huge difference just throughout the day. My energy levels, like I'm not I don't crash after a workout. That's awesome.
I even add just some honey sometimes, so something simple like that. But as far as eating habits, I try to stay kind of just as close to whole foods as I can. So meaning not processed. I barely ever eat any pasta. Bread is a once in a while kind of thing. Lots of vegetables and lean protein, just like you hear. But we like to cook big meals on a Sunday and have those leftovers through the week, just so you can just know it's there, go in and grab it. Preparation is really vital as far as these things go. So otherwise, you're going to be hungry, and grab McDonald's or something like that, which isn't the best, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So I don't think that this Google Hangouts format, is the best place to address the technique component. But before we wrap up, I did want to ask, do you have any technique pet peeves, like things that you see that just kind of make you cringe, things that you're like, how is this still a thing?
Gripping too high. That's number one, I think. Even when I was coaching up in Indiana at the high school level, I'd go to opponents or other kids from other schools and be like, "Hey, just drop your grip a fist, because no one wants to see you miss the mats." So if it feels like you're overbending the pole, just try dropping that grip, because usually we feel the higher the better, and that's not always the case. Moving past into the jump to kind of like fix things as far as maybe getting inverted or your turn or hiking over the bar, things that when your takeoff looks like dog crap. I mean, don't you ever ask me, that's going to be number one. I'm always going to come back to that, because it just affects absolutely everything in the jump. And that's the one thing when you watch videos of other guys or girls watch their takeoffs. It's all about how you're converting that energy on the runway into the pole, storing energy there. So if you can line that up right from the beginning, then swing, inversion, all that stuff's going to happen on its own. So. Yeah, those are two pretty good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. I think that's a really good, tip for anyone that might be watching that either doesn't have a coach or doesn't have like a dedicated vault coach, is like the takeoff is the thing. If you're going to obsess over something, that's the thing to obsess over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just looking at the little things, kind of go at it like a basketball player would, learning the fundamentals of, where your elbows are when you're shooting a jump shot, or things like that. Just watching how tall we are at takeoff. There's no bend in that right arm, or the top arm, sorry, reaching up as high as you can. Really driving through the takeoff, almost like you're trying to jump over the pit. And so you can see that knee really drive in the way, and really trying to do those things on your own and reproduce what you're seeing in the videos of guys that are jumping higher, because even though there's so many different techniques and different kind of styles, we're all doing a lot of the simple things the same. So.
Awesome. Where can people go to find you online, follow you, support your career?
I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is Hollis PV, and also on Twitter the same. And you can check out my website, markhollispv.com. That has tons of pictures and videos, YouTube and Coach's Eye, so you can download them yourself onto your phones and check them out frame by frame, kind of compare yourself to those. yeah, if you find me on Facebook, hit me up with any questions you have, and I try my best to reply to all of them. So
Awesome. And any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to?
I always got to thank Gill Athletics, Nike, Run Gum. Shout out to them. Shout out to Drink Sword, Pure Encapsulations. Missing any? That's about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. This has been awesome. And for everyone out there watching, I will see you another time.
Okay, thanks so much. See you guys.
See ya.